On April 24, 2025, what was expected to be a routine freedom of navigation patrol quickly turned into a high-stakes geopolitical standoff. The USS William P. Lawrence, a guided missile destroyer, silently cut through the calm waters of the Taiwan Strait in the early morning. The skies were clear, but the tension was palpable. Then, China made its move. The PLA's Eastern Theater Command issued a strongly worded statement, essentially declaring, "We see you, and we're not happy." Naval and air forces were deployed to shadow the American destroyer, and Chinese state media lit up with footage, radar tracks, and live updates. The message from Beijing was unambiguous. The U.S. Navy was not welcome. But Washington responded with silence. No press briefings, no tweets, just the Lawrence maintaining its planned course, deliberate and undeterred. What China labeled a provocation, the U.S. called routine. But this patrol was anything but ordinary. The Lawrence had entered waters claimed by China, a bold move that risked escalation in a region where missteps can spiral fast. Yet the destroyer didn't flinch. As Chinese headlines decried illegal trespassing and serious provocations, the ship stayed steady. No evasive maneuvers, no increase in speed, just a glide through waters where international law permits her passage. The message was clear. The U.S. Navy does not ask permission. To them, this wasn't an escalation, it was Tuesday. Freedom of navigation operations, or FONOPs, are standard practice in contested seas like the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. These missions draw invisible lines in the ocean and challenge anyone to dispute them. The Lawrence didn't sail alone. Although her AIS beacon was off and she wasn't broadcasting her presence, the Pentagon was watching through military satellites, and it's likely that a Virginia-class submarine rode silently beneath the waves nearby. The U.S. doesn't walk into disputed waters without backup. China knew this. Within hours, Chinese media released drone footage showing a Type 52D destroyer trailing the Lawrence. Reports surfaced of J-16 fighters buzzing the area, close enough to be noticed but not enough to provoke a response. The rules of engagement in the Taiwan Strait are fragile. One radar lock, one misstep, and the Aegis combat system might be triggered, a scenario no one wants. This wasn't just about Taiwan. It was a test of who gets to move freely through international waters, and the U.S. had no intention of playing defense. The Lawrence completed its transit in under 12 hours without incident, without deviation. But the silence left behind wasn't peace. It was pressure, and the next move was already underway. Just as the destroyer disappeared into the Pacific haze, another flashpoint emerged. A few hundred miles south, on the far side of the Luzon Strait, warships were on the move. The U.S. and the Philippines launched Exercise Balikatan, their largest joint military drill to date. More than 14,000 troops, fighter jets, missile batteries, and amphibious assault rehearsals filled the region. The timing was no coincidence. Hours after China claimed to have shadowed the U.S. ship, U.S. Marines were unloading HIMARS rocket systems onto a Philippine beach. A clear message to Beijing: we're not just sailing near Taiwan, we're building launch sites over the horizon. In military terms, this is called shaping the battle space. And China was watching closely. Just days earlier, Beijing had made its own move. The Shandong, one of the PLA Navy's most advanced aircraft carriers, had cruised past the northern coast of the Philippines, deep within Manila's exclusive economic zone. That prompted an immediate response: air patrols, radar sweeps, heightened alert. The message was clear: China could flank from both sides, but the Philippines didn't back down. While China broadcast footage of their naval intercepts, U.S. Pacific Command was collecting ISR data. Every ship, every plane, every move logged and analyzed. Behind polite Pentagon statements, planners from Okinawa to Guam were asking the quiet question: how far is China willing to go? Because if these aren't just drills anymore, if this is the opening scene of something more, then every destroyer, every exercise, every deployment isn't just a show of strength. It's a dress rehearsal. And beyond the headlines, steel was moving fast. Beijing didn't blink, but it didn't stay quiet either. As the Lawrence exited the Taiwan Strait and joint U.S.-Philippine drills intensified, the Chinese Communist Party ramped up its rhetoric. The PLA's Eastern Theater Command issued a second, more aggressive statement, filled with accusations of illegal provocation. Chinese state media anchors, now in Navy uniforms, warned of hostile infiltration. The tension didn't dissipate with the destroyer's departure. It shifted from a narrow strait to the broader Pacific stage, where the next act remains unwritten. PLA mouthpieces called the USS William P. Lawrence's recent transit through the Taiwan Strait a dangerous show of muscle, a deliberate attempt to intimidate and disrupt regional peace. But beneath the dramatic language lay something far more calculated, a reframing of the narrative. China wasn't just upset that a U.S. warship passed through waters it claims. It was enraged that the ship did so without asking. From Beijing's perspective, the Taiwan Strait isn't international water. It's a domestic corridor, part of what they call their internal sea. And for years, China has worked to convince the world that the rules here are different, that freedom of navigation doesn't apply, and that Western warships need permission to pass. But under international law, specifically, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, which China has signed, the Taiwan Strait is clearly recognized as an international waterway. For the United States, it's no different than the Strait of Gibraltar or the English Channel, a vital sea lane where ships have the right to sail freely. Pacific is becoming sharper, faster, more unpredictable. And when unpredictability becomes the norm, the risk of miscalculation skyrockets. One wrong radar blip, one nervous pilot, one misinterpreted maneuver, that's all it takes. Then suddenly we're not talking about a freedom of navigation transit. We're talking about a flashpoint, about after-action reports, about war. That's why this matters. This wasn't just a message exchanged between destroyers. It was a message to the world. The lines are shifting, and the erasers are moving fast. So here we are, one ship, one narrow strait, one silent message sent without a single shot fired. But don't mistake the quiet for calm. The Taiwan Strait is now more than a contested waterway. It's a stage, a pressure valve, a testing ground for modern deterrence. And the world is watching closely to see who blinks next, because the next time the incident might come without warning and the response might not come with a press release. This wasn't just about one operation. It was about tempo, initiative, and demonstrating that the U.S. Navy still sails where it wants. When it wants, no hall pass from Beijing required. So what do you think? Are these operations necessary to keep the peace, or are we edging closer to something we can't undo? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to take it a step further and support the channel directly, join the fleet. Get loyalty badges, priority replies, and help us bring more real naval stories to the surface. Click join on our channel page and step aboard. Until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and remember, sometimes peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of steel.